Lanier Smith from Sense Memory. My good friend Freddie from Smelly Thoughts tagged me in the famous or infamous, however you want to look at it, fragrance tag video. And this was created by Lupe from the Lupe Experience, and it's really a lot of fun. So let's start right off with the question number one. What are your earliest fragrance memories? Well, my earliest fragrance memories were around 1960, 61, and it was all around Chanel No. 5. We were a really, really poor family, and the three main women in my family, my mother, my aunt, and my grandmother, looked forward every year to when Uncle Bud would bring them each a very small bottle of Chanel No. 5. And they treasured that bottle, and they made it last the whole year long. It was just little like this, and they would just a teeny bit behind the ears. And they made it last until the following Christmas, and there was always just a little bit left in the bottle. So that was my first memory. What was my first fragrance purchase? My first fragrance purchase was about 10 years later. I was away at college. It was 1971, and I went into a drugstore in Berkeley. And in those days, Chanel, for a very short time, was represented in drugstores. And I saw a bottle of Chanel for what they called then Chanel for Men. It was originally Chanel pour Monsieur, but for a very short time it was called Chanel for Men. And it was in a very small bottle, about the same size as what my mother and aunt and grandmother got. And it was $25 a bottle. And of course in 1971, for a student who was on very limited funds, $25 was a lot of money. That was a week's worth of food and all kinds of things. So without hesitation, I went ahead and I bought it and cinched in my belt, and I wore that. It became my signature scent. And in 1971, most people were wearing things like patchouli oil, frangipani oil, and it was the hippie era. And here I was in school, rocking this incredible, sophisticated perfume for men, and people would smell it and say, "What's that?" And I would say, "It's Chanel for Men," and they're like, "Whoa, get him." Anyway, that was my first purchase. The third question is, what was my first niche purchase? And that would have to be Al Oud by L'Artisan Parfumier. This was sold to me by my friend, who became my friend, Hilary Ravis Randall at Barney's, and it was my introduction to Oud, to niche, and to an incredible world of beautiful perfumes by this particular house, L'Artisan Parfumier. I'll have a link down below of some of these perfume reviews that I did on my blog, and you can read about the stories they unlocked in my imagination. The next question was, what was your first blind buy? My first blind buy was I blind bought a lot of stuff. I just went crazy there at first, like we all do. Bulgari Aqua Marine. And it's really a rather nice aquatic. I'm not a big fan of aquatics, but this one is really fresh and bright and smells wonderful. What was your best blind buy? Cristal by Chanel, and this is an incredible green perfume that is just gorgeous. It can be worn by men or by women. It's just incredibly beautiful. And, I was asked by a friend of mine, an artist in Italy by the name of Roberto Alberghetti, to pick a perfume to go along with one of his paintings, and this was the one I chose. So you can read about that down below. And I just love this juice. What is my worst blind buy? Well, would have to be Fracca for Men. Fracca for Men was reformulated out of any kind of semblance of a fragrance into a complete toilet bowl kind of experience, and I still have nightmares about when I tried that. Fracca for Women is really beautiful, but Fracca for Men was taken over by a different house and just completely destroyed. So don't ever get it. Next question, number 7. What are your favorite fragrance notes? I would have to say there are a lot of them. I like amber, civet, orris root, oud, labdamen, castoreum, gardenia / tuberose, because gardenias are really hard to replicate in perfume, so a lot of times tuberose does the work for the gardenia. Lily, jasmine, aldehyde, rhubarb, patchouli, oak moss, lavender. Are you getting an idea of where we're going here? Coromon, frankincense, myrrh, galbanum incense. So in other words, chivras and orientals are where I tend to land these days. Number 8, what is your favorite fragrance house? Well, I would have to say Chanel for the history, the incredible history of that house. Then also Guerlain for history and the incredible variety of perfumes that come from that house. It's an incredible house of variety and great beauty. Then I would have to say there are some local perfumers that I really enjoy. First off would be Bruno Fazzolari. He has an incredible collection of beautiful perfumes. He's a painter and a perfumer, and quite well known in the art world and getting a great reputation in the fragrance world. Then I would have to also add another local perfumer by the name of Mick Moi, and this is his beautiful Vesper, which is inspired by not only the prayers, the Vesper prayers, but also the Vesper cocktail from Casino Royale. So those are the houses that really speak to me right now. The next question is, what fragrance describes you? And I would have to say, at the moment, I would say Shalimar. Why Shalimar? Because it's classic. It is a perfume that can be worn by men and women. It is oriental, incredibly. On my skin, it billows and blooms and comes up like an incredible kind of cloud I'm speechless when I wear Shalimar, and it's definitely it comes from this period in the 20s when it was considered a bad girl's perfume, and it was only for women who smoked and drank and bobbed their hair, but it really is a very masculine, beautiful perfume today. The perfume, the eau de toilette is a little less masculine, but the parfum is incredible. What is your favorite fragrance? Right now I would have to say it's a draw between Coromandel by Chanel and Misa by Dior. Now, the interesting thing is that they're both very similar. They're both amber bombs. They're just gorgeous. So it's between these two. They just set me to dreaming. And the next question is, what is my fragrance profile? And for this question, number 11, I would have to say my fragrance profile would best be described as surrounded in an aura of sophistication, and then something that reflects my own personal style and is daring. I like to push the envelope, and I think probably a bit of a rebel, yet I do fall into an area that you would consider the classics. I like those great classic scents, and I like my perfumes and colognes to have heft and weight and gravitas. And I also would say that exploration to discovery and a sense of humor is really a part of my fragrant signature. And the last question is, what are your fragrant resolutions going forward? And I would have to say I have no resolutions. I'm not a resolution kind of person. But I would say the only thing I look forward to is just being open to life and to fragrances, and what's coming down the road really excites me on all fronts. So let's see, the last thing I need to do is tag somebody, and I would like to tag, in case he hasn't done it, Man Loves Cologne, Sebastian, you're it, and also a lovely, beautiful friend of mine who lives in Australia by the name of Natalie Patel. I'm tagging you, Nettie. And I'll put a link to both of their websites or their channels so that you can check out their work if you're not familiar with them. So thanks, Freddie. I had fun. It was easier than I expected. This is Lanier Smith from Sense Memory saying, remember, wear what you love and not what they say you should like.